In this video, we're going to talk about some of the plan requirements for temporary street use permits, specifically traffic control plans and workspace diagrams. When you're applying for a temporary street use permit to close a travel lane, sidewalk, or a full street, one of the requirements is that you attach a plan. So on our website here, which is tsup.info, that's TSUP is in temporary street use permitting.info. You'll see underneath the picture there's a table of contents. And if you click on the traffic control plan section, that'll take you to the part that talks about traffic control plans and workspace diagrams. These are basically two different versions of a plan to show us what portion of the right-of-way you're going to close and how you're going to close it. So we'll first start by talking about the difference between the two. So a traffic control plan is a plan of the area that you're going to be working, and it shows specifically how you're going to control the flow of traffic around your work zone. You'll notice on this example, it has the work zone highlighted. It also shows the advanced signage, the cones, and the barricades blocking off the work zone. This, again, is an example of a full traffic control plan. So it shows all the detailed signage that a traffic control company would set up for you or you would set up yourself to safely manage the flow of traffic, again, around your work zone. So the other type of plan is a workspace diagram. This is not as complex, you can tell. It doesn't have any of the signage, barricades, cones, advanced warning, anything like that. The intent of a workspace diagram is just to show us what portion of the right-of-way you're going to be taking up when you do your work. In this example, it's a full street closure and a closure of the sidewalk on the east side of the street. So it's just a box drawn over the street and that east side sidewalk area. Again, there's no signage because this is just to convey the extent of your workspace. So that's the main difference between the two plans. The traffic control plan shows all the signage about how you're going to manage traffic, and the workspace diagram just shows where you're going to work. So when you're applying for a temporary street use permit to close a lane, street, or sidewalk, we require that you attach one of these plans. And to help you figure out which one you need to attach and prepare, we have a flow chart on the website. So when you click on that flowchart, it sort of walks you through a few different scenarios and helps you determine if you need to prepare a full traffic control plan or if a workspace diagram will be sufficient. It starts out by talking about what type of street you're closing. And so we categorize things as a busy street or a non-busy street. A busy street is one that has lane lines painted on the pavement or has a bus route on the street. And a non-busy street doesn't have any lane lines on the pavement and does not have any bus routes. So once you determine which one of those you're going to use, you move down to the next level, which asks how close to the intersection you are. So if you're, within 200 feet of an intersection, then the next step is going to ask, is that intersection signalized or non-signalized? What we mean by that is basically, is there a traffic signal controlling the traffic at that intersection? If you are less than 200 feet from an intersection and it does not have a traffic signal, you go down to the next step and it's, are you closing a single lane or are you closing multiple lanes? If you're closing multiple lanes in that scenario, you need to prepare a traffic control plan. If you're only closing a single lane, the flowchart says use traffic manual. What that means is you're still going to prepare a workspace diagram showing us where you work. But when you set up the traffic control, our understanding is that you'll follow one of the typical setups shown in our traffic control manual. So again, this flowchart walks you through common scenarios. The most important things that you need to pay attention to are how close you are to an intersection, and does that intersection have a traffic signal or not. So once you understand this flowchart, you'll then understand for your particular scenario if you need to prepare a traffic control plan or just a workspace diagram. So one thing to keep in mind is that even though this flowchart is designed for the majority of cases, there are cases when our traffic engineers review your permit application and the plan that you submitted, and they may require something different than what you submitted based on their review. So an example of that might be, based on this flowchart, your condition might require a workspace diagram and not a full traffic control plan. But when the traffic engineer reviews your permit request, there may be another closure in the area that requires a traffic control plan to show how those two projects will interact with each other. It also may be a high-speed street, and if you say you're merging a bike lane into the travel lane, while you're only closing one lane, the traffic engineer might require that you prepare a traffic control plan to show specifically how you're going to manage bike traffic and motor vehicle traffic and potentially pedestrian traffic around your workspace. So again, just keep in mind that during the review of your permit application, the traffic engineer may require something additional. When you get your approved permit back, sometimes the note from the traffic engineer is to use the traffic manual. Again, what we mean by use the traffic manual, what that means is we're not giving you a stamped approved site-specific traffic control plan to follow. Instead, we're giving you direction to use one of the typical applications that are shown in the traffic control manual. So towards the end of that traffic control manual, there's multiple pages there that show typical scenarios and how to close single lanes, how to close sidewalks, how to close multiple lanes on different types of street configurations. And if your situation matches one of those, the traffic engineer may just direct you to use one of those typical applications. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to send us an email or give us a phone call using the contact information on our website. Thank you.